Have you ever noticed how some people walk into a room and conversations seem to find them? Nobody introduces them, nobody announces their arrival, they don't try to be the loudest person there, they don't force jokes, and they don't beg for attention. And yet, somehow, people naturally start talking to them. Meanwhile, someone else can spend the entire evening trying to be interesting, trying to fit in, trying to get noticed, and still end up feeling invisible. Why? What did those people know that most of us don't? Today, I'm going to show you how to get anyone to talk to you first, without begging for attention, pretending to be someone you're not, or forcing confidence you don't actually feel. Because the truth is, the people who attract conversations aren't necessarily more attractive, more charismatic, or more socially gifted. They're doing a few subtle things differently. And the final one is the reason some people seem magnetic wherever they go, while others feel ignored no matter how hard they try. Let's get into it. I used to think social confidence meant saying the right thing. If I could just become funnier, smarter, or more interesting, people would naturally want to talk to me. So whenever I walked into a room, I would immediately start thinking about myself. How do I look? What should I say? What if I sound awkward? What if nobody talks to me? What if I don't fit in? And without realizing it, I made the same mistake most people make. I turned the entire room into a mirror. Everything became about how I was being perceived. The strange thing is that the more focused I became on myself, the more invisible I felt, because people can sense that energy. Not consciously, but they feel it. I'm going to show you 4 shifts. The first 3 will change how people read you before you say a word, but the final one is different. It is not a technique. It is the reason the other 3 either work permanently or stop working the moment you need them most. Stay with me until the end, because without that final piece, everything else is just performance. And that brings us to the first shift. Stop trying to be interesting. Become interested. Most people enter conversations with a hidden goal. They want to impress, they want approval, they want validation, so they spend the entire interaction waiting for their turn to speak. But genuinely magnetic people do something different. They're curious. Real curiosity is rare. Think about the last time somebody asked you a question and then actually listened to your answer. Not waiting to talk, not checking their phone, not looking around the room, just listening. It feels surprisingly good because most people aren't listening, they're performing. I once met someone at an event who barely talked about himself for almost 20 minutes. Instead, he kept asking thoughtful follow-up questions. What got you interested in that? How did that happen? What was that like? And by the end of the conversation, I found myself thinking he was one of the most interesting people I'd met all night. The funny part? I barely knew anything about him. Psychologist Carl Rogers, who spent decades studying human connection, found that feeling genuinely understood is one of the deepest psychological needs a person has, rarer in daily life than most people realize. People are naturally drawn toward those who make them feel seen, not because those people are impressive, because they are rare. But there is something even more important happening before a single word is spoken, and this is where most people unknowingly push others away. Imagine walking into a coffee shop. One person immediately looks down at their phone, head lowered, shoulders closed, scrolling endlessly. The other person sits comfortably, not staring at people, not seeking attention, just present, looking around occasionally, comfortable with the environment. Which person feels easier to approach? The answer is obvious. And yet, most people accidentally make themselves unavailable, not because they want to, but because they're nervous. The phone becomes a shield, the downward gaze becomes protection, the closed posture becomes armor. But armor doesn't only protect you, it isolates you. That is why the second shift is this. Look available. Not desperate, available. Open posture, relaxed expression, eye contact that lasts 1 second longer than normal, a small smile. I tested this once without telling anyone. Same room, same event. One evening, I kept my phone in my pocket the entire time and simply looked up. 3 people approached me before I approached anyone. The week before, phone in hand the entire night, I had spoken to nobody new. The content of the evening was identical. The signal I was sending was completely different.
These tiny adjustments communicate something powerful before a single word is spoken. You are safe to approach. You are not hiding, and that changes everything. But availability alone is not enough. There is another behavior that separates magnetic people from everyone else, and it is something most people are genuinely terrible at. The third shift is silence. Most people are terrified of silence. The moment a conversation slows down, panic kicks in. They rush to fill the gap. They start rambling, explaining, talking faster, saying things they don't even mean, because silence feels like rejection. But emotionally confident people understand something different. Silence is not rejection. Silence is space, and space creates comfort. I tested this deliberately one afternoon at a coffee shop. No phone, no book, no headphones. I ordered my coffee, sat down, and just existed. Hands around the cup, looking out the window, not performing calm, just actually trying to be present. I felt exposed for the first 3 minutes. Then something settled. Within 20 minutes, the woman at the next table asked where I had bought my jacket. The man across from her asked if the seat next to me was taken and then immediately started a conversation. Neither of them could have told you why they approached me. I had done nothing. That was the exact point. The absence of neediness created a kind of opening, and people walked through it. People trust those who don't seem desperate for the room's attention, and comfort with silence is the clearest signal of that. And that leads us to the final shift, the one that ties everything together. Here is the thing nobody tells you about confidence. Confidence is not believing everyone will like you. Confidence is being okay if they don't. That single shift from needing approval to not requiring it changes every signal your body sends before you open your mouth. The way you move, the way you listen, the way you carry silence, the way you occupy a room. People can't always explain why someone feels magnetic, but they feel it immediately. And what they are feeling is not charisma. It is someone who has already decided they are enough and stopped waiting for the room to confirm it. So drop a comment below. Which of these 4 shifts feels hardest for you right now, and why? Because the moment you stop trying to convince people you're worth talking to, something shifts, not in the room, in you. And people feel that shift before you say a single word. You were never invisible. You were just waiting for permission to stop pretending you needed to be seen. I'm Sam, and I'll be reading every single one of your comments. If this video helped you, subscribe for more videos that will help you become better every day.